Hello YouTube fans, this is Dr. Matthew Johnson and heading north on I-5 with Atlas, the official mascot of Team Squatchin' USA, who's chilling here on my lap. And as you can see, if he's on my lap, then I must not be driving. So who is driving? It's Johnny Manson. Now, Johnny, have you enjoyed your time down in SOHA?
Very much so.
Very much so.
Very much so.
So, how would you recap your experience beginning with the beginning and the bizarre to all the other interesting stuff that happened along the way?
Wow. Okay. Well, right away, hitting base camp, before we even, as we're setting up, let's say, we were visited by, I think, a off-road motorcycle, and then we had like a quad rider, and then this Jeep, and it just, that was just weird because nobody comes up there. Nobody has come up there. In how many years? You've only had
a total of 5 in 8 years, yeah. And then all of a sudden, within 10 minutes of showing up,
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, it was like...
And there were different parties. They weren't the same group.
Yeah.
That was strange.
Right.
It was strange that the gifting bowls didn't get hit the first 3 nights, but it may have been because they were so close to base camp. We weren't quite sure. We weren't quite sure if there was because there was so many of us. There was, I think, 7 of us guys total up there. Didn't know if it was that. Didn't know if it was the climate because it's been rather hot. And as you said, the only time they never hit the gifting bowls was when it was 100 plus. It got up and I think lower to mid 80s, but that's still not 100. So we're kind of scratching our heads going, okay, why aren't they touching this? We're asking ourselves all sorts of questions like, you know, are they eating somewhere else, or are they being harassed, and just weren't sure. So then Dale and Mike leave, and Dr. J gets sick, so we put him up in a hotel, and then Mike Kincaid, his son Nick, and myself kind of ran the show for Dr. J on his behalf. And
yeah, I was, just so everybody knows, had one of the worst flu bugs I've had in my life, and I felt like I was on my deathbed last night in the Motel 6.
And I'm kind of surprised. I mean, I'm happy and proud and privileged that he would trust us up there without him, because it's my understanding he's never done that before. Have you ever done that before?
I've never done that before.
Yeah. So it was really strange because Mike had left the mountain, and you know, it's still daytime, sun's still out. He left the mountain with his son to go get some more supplies, and as I'm sitting there, it's dead quiet, no birds, maybe some crows every now and then, and I start talking out loud, talking to anybody that might be in the area, and I started getting activity, and I'm like, okay, am I getting this activity? Is this really happening? I started to kind of get a little freaked out. Atlas, team mascot.
Atlas, yeah, right here. Go team mascot.
He's usually, you know, just hopping around base camp, just sniffing things, peeing on things. He's in the cab. I have all the doors open. He's in the cab growling and barking, and then he hides on the floorboard of the passenger side underneath a bag. He wouldn't come out.
He was cowering.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Yeah, I've never seen him cower either.
So during this minimal activity, while I'm, you know, talking, and then I'm waiting, I'm just sitting, standing, just kind of just hanging out, a stick, it's like a stick gets thrown against a tree, and it was probably to 15 yards in the 2 o'clock position. I hear this stick like get thrown at a tree. Kind of freaks me out, and about 10 minutes later I still have all this adrenaline and excitement going on. Mike comes back, and you know, I explain everything that was going on to him, and I'm not quite sure if he believed me or not, but once we put the gifting bowls out, we started to get activity. We would hear voices, movement. It was like they weren't hiding their movements. It's like they didn't care if we heard them. That's how much stuff was going on, whether it was grunts and voices and footsteps and snaps and clicks, and it was just crazy cool.
Crazy cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So lots of activity: stick snaps, wood knocks.
Oh yeah.
Movement, vocals.
Yeah. All night.
All night long.
Yeah,
Cool.
Very exciting.
Awesome. So what started off to be a bizarre trip, one of the most bizarre trips I've ever had to SOHA in 8 years, turned out to be pretty active and interactive during the last night when you guys were there.
But they didn't take anything from the gifting bowls. They did move some things. It looked like there was like a slight hole in one of the sandwiches when Mike had made it, and he actually debated on making a different one. But when we saw the bowls this morning, the hole was like obviously bigger, and the cookies were kind of jarred a little bit. And if you go onto the Team Squatching USA website, you'll see the pictures, the difference in how they were moved. And you know, there weren't any critters around. If there were critters around, they wouldn't have been able to do that. I mean, things would have been moved and scattered and messy, and it was just like they kind of just poked at it a little bit, accidentally shoved one of the fig Newtons aside, and then just left it. So
wow,
I was curious.
Okay. Well, any closing words of wisdom about your experience?
It was pretty wonderful.
Pretty wonderful. Looking forward to coming back again in the future.
Of course. Yeah, if you guys allow me back.
If you're coming back, Johnny Manson. One thing that I want to point out to some of the critics is, you know, pretty much 4 nights in a row, no little critters hit the bowls.
They weren't touched.
They weren't,
Not touched at all.
So when the bowls have been hit with quite regular frequency over the years, and they're always going, how do you know little critters aren't hitting the bowls? The bottom line is little critters did not hit the bowls because they make a mess inside the bowl or outside the bowl. And the bowls weren't even touched. Yeah, they destroyed it, and the bowls weren't even touched. And when the squatches hit the bowls, it's neat, clean, and precise.
Just like if you would just grab something out, eat it.
Yeah, so anyway, no little critters in SOHA. Once again, check out the Michael Beers analysis video of SOHA. He's a former BFRO investigator and avid hunter, and he was down in SOHA, checked out the area thoroughly. There are no little critters in SOHA, which in and of itself is pretty interesting data.
Oh yeah, and you know, I gotta say, it's just one thing to just read it and come up to your own conclusions, whether you're a skeptic or not, but I guarantee any skeptic goes up there and experience what I've experienced and what you've experienced and all these other people have experienced, even without seeing them visually, because I have not seen them, you know, I haven't had a Class A encounter or anything, but I know they're there. But any skeptic that goes up there and experiences what I've experienced, you would come off that mountain a 100% believer.
Cool. Okay, thank you, Johnny Manson.
$50.